In April 2016, a young boy disappeared in the middle of Germany. The case dominated the German media for a few weeks. Many people saw the picture of little Aref almost every day. But at some point, the case disappeared from the media even though Aref was never found. But why is hardly anyone talking about the disappearance of the little boy today? And what happened back then, on April 5, 2016? Aref and his family came to Germany in February 2016. Here, the Ismaili family of 6 would finally be able to live better lives, far from the raging unrest in their homeland of Afghanistan. The escape took months and led the Ismailis from Afghanistan through Iran to Germany. Here, the Ismailis' 4 children finally have the opportunity to live a reasonably carefree life again. The Ismailis are staying in a refugee shelter called Kaudelsches Schloss in Wanfried, a small town in northern Hesse, in the center of Germany. The family settles in quickly and feels comfortable. The harbor in Wanfried, in particular, has become one of the family's favorite places. There, the children can play in the spring sun. That's exactly what they plan to do on April 4th, 2016. Father Abdullah is out doing a little shopping, while Mother Mushta wants to spend the afternoon with the children by the water. The square is very popular among the residents. Many families spend their afternoons there. There are play areas for children, a small wildlife enclosure, and a restaurant where you can get refreshments. Mushta arrives at the harbor with Aref and his siblings at around 4:30 p.m. It's a very busy day. There, Mushta meets an acquaintance named Sandra. The two talk to each other while Mushta's 2 older sons let off steam on the playground. One of them is 4-year-old Aref. Every now and then, Aref and his brother come running to Mushta and Sandra. They generally stay close by the whole time. Mushta and Sandra chat for a good hour while the children keep themselves busy on the playground. Aref's older brother, with whom he was playing, finally sets off home with a group of other children. Unfortunately, it is not known what Aref did after his big brother left. His mother Mushta sat with the 2 smaller children and their friend Sandra the whole time at the same place by the river. At around 6:20 p.m., Mushta and the girls, accompanied by Sandra, also set off for home. It is not unusual for the 2 sons to have already left. Aref and his brother know their way around the area and know how to get home. They have also returned to their accommodation independently in the past. Mushta assumes that it will be the same today. At around 6:30 p.m., a car is driving towards the 2 women and 2 girls on the main road. The driver greets Sandra and Mushta, but seems startled to see them. There is a man behind the wheel. Neither of the 2 women knows him. The car continues on its way. After this encounter, Mushta starts to feel uneasy, and her unease intensifies when she gets home and finds that Aref is not there. Mushta searches for Aref in the area around their accommodation. Maybe the boy has simply lost track of time while playing. But Aref is nowhere to be found. At around 7:30 p.m., a friend of Mushta's named Rosemary meets the worried Mushta on the street. Mushta explains what is going on. Rosemary immediately gets into the car with Mushta and they drive to the harbor where Aref was last seen. On the way, they ask every pedestrian they meet, but nobody has seen anything. Mushta and Rosemary call the police together. The alerted emergency services and many volunteers immediately arrive to search for Aref. The search lasted into the early morning hours of April 5th. But Aref could not be found. In the days that followed, divers, helicopters, and a sonar device were used. The water level of the river was lowered by 35 centimeters to search for the little boy in the water. But Aref was not found in the riverbed either. Instead, a dark jacket was found. It was found hanging over a fence not far from where Aref's mother had been sitting with the children on the day of the disappearance. The jacket did not belong to Aref. The police asked the owner of the jacket to come forward. It is not known whether this ultimately happened. The case was front-page news immediately. Word of the boy's disappearance spread like wildfire in Vaanfried, and many of the residents take part in the search. A photo and description of Aref are soon published. The little boy is 4 years old, about 1 meter tall, and was wearing a green top and dark trousers when he disappeared. Media attention is huge. It doesn't take long before a witness named Kai comes forward with an interesting observation. He says that around noon on the day of Aref's disappearance, he saw something in front of the refugee shelter where the Ismailis live. He saw a black BMW X5 with Berlin license plates. A woman came out of the shelter and got into the car, which then drove towards the harbor, exactly where Aref disappeared to a few hours later. Kai not only saw the car and the woman, but also Aref. The woman was in her late 30s, extremely slim, had very long dark blonde hair and was wearing leggings and a skirt. Aref passed the black X5 on a tricycle, also heading towards the harbor. The driver and his female passenger may have spotted Aref at this point and taken him into their sights. During the course of the investigation, further witnesses came forward who had noticed this vehicle in Vaanfried. The foreign license plate made the car stand out to several residents. On one occasion at around 10 a.m. in front of the local town hall, and again at 7 p.m. that evening. On the latter occasion, the car was conspicuously parked in the middle of the pavement. About half an hour earlier, Mushta and her friend Sandra had seen a dark vehicle coming towards them that seemed strange to both women. It is not clear whether it was the same car, but it is possible. Investigators assume that the two independent witness observations refer to the same vehicle. The car is described as a slightly grubby-looking BMW SUV. The windows of the vehicle were tinted. One witness claims to have seen a kind of cord or prayer chain on the dashboard. According to other sources, it could also have been a dream catcher. After about a week, the police stopped the active search for Aref without result. There are no further approaches that the investigators can pursue. Nevertheless, the police continue to investigate in all directions. Although the river has already been meticulously searched, it cannot be ruled out that a small child like Aref may have drowned. The police also consider a crime such as a kidnapping or a capital offense to be possible. At the end of April 2016, the river was searched again for Aref. In the meantime, the current of the water could have shifted the body of the child if Aref had fallen into it. A helicopter accompanied the measures from the air and flew several dozen kilometers along the course of the river. This operation also remains fruitless. 2 months after Aref's disappearance, the case is presented on television. Aref's parents, Abdullah and Mushta, are live guests in the studio to appeal to viewers and request information. Mushta also takes this opportunity to explicitly thank the German authorities and their German fellow citizens who have supported the family in their search for Aref. A sketch of the driver seen by Mushta and Sandra is also shown during the program. The man is about 60 to 70 years old and has a round, gaunt face and a prominent nose. His hair is gray and curly on the sides. The man is not necessarily a suspect, but could simply be a witness. During the program, 32 viewers call in with information. Witnesses claim to have seen the boy near Berlin, among other places. This would fit with the black X5 with Berlin license plates. One caller claims to have recognized a person in the sketch. Another caller claims to have seen the man in the sketch together with Aref in a bar in the Berlin area. At first, the hope for these clues is great. Unfortunately, however, they do not seem to materialize. In subsequent articles, there are no more references to the caller's tips, and meanwhile, there is hardly any coverage of the case. For a reason that is as sad as it is simple. There is simply no news. To date, there has been no evidence that has brought the police closer to Aref. The boy is still missing to this day. In 2021, Aref's mother is interviewed on television again. She is quoted as saying, "Every day I look at the door and hope that he will come in. But so far nothing has happened. It's very hard, very hard. He lives in my heart. I never felt that he had died. I dream of him at night, see in my dreams that he is alive. Nobody knows what it's like inside me. Inside, I'm already dead. I don't need any help. Aref is a small child. He needs his mother, the mother's love." Aref's parents assumed shortly after his disappearance that the then 4-year-old had been kidnapped. They did not want to believe the investigators' other theory that Aref had drowned in the river. Even if Aref was kidnapped and the perpetrator was actually traveling in the car with Berlin license plates, there are numerous unanswered questions. Of course, who the driver was and whether the car belonged to him. And then, what he was doing in Wanfried, of all places. The distance between the capital Berlin and Wanfried is more than 350 kilometers. On the other hand, if he had nothing to hide, wouldn't he have contacted the police by now to dispel the suspicion against him? But it is also a fact that Aref was playing near a body of water and that his mother briefly lost sight of him. The river was searched very thoroughly. But reports also state that the current in the river was particularly strong in April 2016. Despite the meticulous measures, it cannot be ruled out that Aref may have fallen in and drowned after all. But to this day, there is still no certainty, and the Ismaili family can only be wished for. Immediately after the disappearance, Aref was in almost all German media. But over the years, the case has become quiet. It is a shame to see that there are now so few clues that the Aref Ismaili missing persons case is hardly getting any attention. If you like, feel free to write your theory about the case in the comments. I can't really imagine that Aref drowned. Why else would there be so many witness statements about the car? But I'm looking forward to your comments. Besides, this way you also help to promote the algorithm, and the video is suggested to people who have not yet subscribed to Insolito. This is extremely important, especially in a case like this one. Today, Aref would almost be a teenager, attending secondary school, meeting up with friends and dreaming of his future. Unfortunately, no one knows how he is doing at the moment, what happened to him, or even if he is still alive. I wish the boy's family only the best, and hope that this video will help to raise awareness of the case again. Otherwise, there is not much more to say. I thank you for watching and wish you a good morning, noon, or evening, depending on when you watch the video, and hope to see you again in the next video. Until then, ciao folks.